Evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, 28th of November. Jesus, it's not that far back. No, it's 28th of December. Mine's frazzled because it's post-Christmas. Christmas was done. Very, very enjoyable. Absolutely manic. Kind of glad it's over. And we are into the final stretches of the challenge as well as the final stretches of the year. I'm glad this year's over. It's been bloody rubbish. Outside of my own personal life. My own personal life has been pretty fantastic, but the year as a whole, not great. So, we are going to go to Germany. So, guten Tag, everyone. I've got 4 Germans to get through. German whiskies to get through, not German. That sounded a bit weird. So I'm going to do 3 tonight to get a little ahead of the game, because I need to upload one tonight. And then I shall do the last one with a couple of others. In fact, I think the 4th German is going to see in the new year. Where are we? Tonight, Thursday, Friday, Saturday is New Year's Eve. That will be the final German, and then we're into 2017. So, I have 3, the first of which is this particular one, which was a sample very kind donated by Andrew A.P. Butler. Thank you very much. And this one is called Blaue Maus, which, as you would probably expect, is Blue Mouse. And it's a distillery that is in a region called Franconia, which is here. It's just north of Nuremberg, and it was established by a guy called Robert Fleischmann in 1978, but it wasn't a whiskey distillery then. The 3 that I'm doing tonight basically all started off as the same thing, which is a distillery that were doing fruit brandies, essentially, and decided to get into whiskey because it's not really that much of a jump. You've already got distilling equipment, but rather than using fruit to make a spirit, you then use barley, or in one case, spelt. But not this one. This is barley. This is a single malt. So Fleischmann decided to make whiskey and first started distilling malt whiskey in 1983. So it wasn't that long after he'd started. So this has been going for a while. And when it first, the very first release that he launched was called Pirate Whiskey, or in German it's literally Piraten Whiskey. But he had a brand called Glen Mouse. And the Scotch whiskey industry pretty much came down on him like a ton of bricks, saying you can't call it Glen, that's Scottish, that's implying it's Scottish, and it's not, it's German, sling your it buddy, don't even think about it. So he changed it to Blue Mouse, and it's a bit of a jokey name. I don't know why the mouse bit comes from. Fleischmann was actually in the Navy, so quite a few of his releases have like nautical themes. So there's one called Spinnaker, for example. But Blaue Maus, which looks like this, this is the best picture I can find of it, is essentially their core version. So it's kind of like craft distilling levels. It's quite small. It's released annually as single cask bottlings because they are making that little of it. Now, I did read that it used German oak. What that means, I've no idea in terms of what it's had in it beforehand. If it has anything in beforehand, I'm not 100% certain. But you know, this is small scale. Very lucky to get it. It's 40%. In terms of a price, basically, I've got a rough estimate of about €40. I certainly can't find anywhere in the UK selling it. So yeah, and that's pretty much going to be a common theme of the other Germans that I'm going to do. Is it's pretty small scale. It started off doing fruit brandies. It's very, very difficult to find in the UK. So it's very difficult to give you any kind of even accurate information. You know, I'm not 100% confident that the map I'm going to put that I've put up of where it is actually where the distillery is. But we'll see. But I'm very, very lucky to be able to try this. Andrew, thank you very much for this. You're also responsible for the next one as well. So I'm intrigued, to say the least. And I'm hoping this is along the lines of French whiskies that generally were very good, rather than, well, I don't know, it's not, Canadian whiskies were a bit disappointing. Obviously a bit more of a history, you know, German whiskey is pretty much kind of 80s onwards. It's a very, very young industry. Not as young as Switzerland, but that was more to do with government regulations and the banning of actual being able to distill. Whereas with Germany, you know, you think of Germany, it's like it's beer, and beer, pretty much, and fruit brandies, things like that. So it's kind of an evolution that has only relatively recently kind of kicked in, and because it's small scale, it tends to stay fairly localized as well. So good, healthy colour. In terms of the age, I think it's 5 years old. It's not particularly old at all. That again seems to be a theme of German whiskies. It seems to be younger. It's released younger. Is it too young? Who knows? We'll find out in a minute. But a good healthy colour on it, and I'm willing to bet no colouring's been added. So I'm guessing this is picked up from the cask, which implies to me that whatever's been in the cask beforehand is imparting that flavour. Now, I honestly don't know what cask it is. I really don't. I could not find anywhere whether it was beer, whether it was German wine, whether they've got a sherry cask from somewhere. Don't know. Honestly, have no idea. But it's a good healthy colour for what I think is a pretty young whiskey. Now it is quite fruity, but it's an odd fruit. There's sort of it's not quite sherry. It's not quite a sherry sweetness. There's a sweetness, but there's a slight sharpness to it as well. Almost like, it's kind of like plums and damsons, in that it's sweet and it's kind of sugary, but there is this slightly sour edge to it as well. Oh, yeah, even more sour on that. It's very much kind of like plum skins and damson skins as well. So it's not just the soft fruit inside. It's like you've poached plums and that sort of fruit, plums, nectarines, everything like that. But when you've poached it in a pan, you haven't skinned it. So it's still got the skin, which has that kind of, like with grapes, like a tannin, harsh, slightly sour edge to it. And it's there. It's kind of not quite woody. It's yeah. It's almost like it's kind of like stalks have been added in as well. I know plums and damsons don't have stalks, but you know what I mean. It's that sort of. I really don't know what I think of this. But yeah, to me, it's very much plum with skins, and also with some twigs thrown in and kind of poached down. So there's sweetness, but there's also soury woodiness to it as well. I ain't convinced, but we'll see. Hopefully it's not like that on the palate. Fortunately, it kind of is. It's not as intense. It's not as intense on the flavour, on the palate, as it is on the nose. The sweetness, the sweet and sour combination is really quite strong on the nose, and it's really kind of like, not turning me off a bit, but it's really kind of like, the more I'm nosing this, the worse it's getting. On the palate, it's all scaled down, but it's still kind of there. There's still a weird sweet fruitiness, sweet dark fruit. It's not a raisiny, sherry, sultana, bourbon cask. It's again, I keep going back to plums and damsons and nectarines and slightly peachy, but again, it's all with the skins on. It's all got this slightly sour, it's not even harsh. It's slightly sour, in parts almost like it's slightly mouldy, and it's weird, really weird. I think it's a little young, but I don't know if extra aging would actually help it, because I don't know what would come through to the floor. I'm very much getting nectarines now. I'm not a big fan of nectarines. It doesn't help that the fruits that I'm describing that are really coming to the fore are ones that I'm less keen on. I'm less keen on plums. I'm less keen on nectarines. I'm not a fan of peaches at the best of times. So this element is just not working for me. But I can't do that nose. I really can't. This is hard. This is hard work. I'm glad I'm only doing 25ml of this, because this is hard for me, because it's a flavour profile that I'm not a fan of anyway. Maybe if you liked those type of stone fruits, you probably would get on with it a lot better than I do. But it's a really weird juxtaposition of kind of a sugary dark fruit sweetness with this. It kind of sour, sort of mouldy, sort of off, kind of edge, mouldy sweetness, and it's not doing it for me at all. I've got a tiny bit left, but that is as much as I can stomach. It really is. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad whiskey. I think this is me. I think this is just a type of flavour that doesn't work for me personally. I think there are faults with it outside of that. I think it's slightly too young. It's a little bit raw. It's not harsh. It doesn't kick the back of your throat. I just think it's unbalanced. I think that the combination of the two styles of flavour that are there, the sweetness, the sugary sweetness, and then this kind of weird offy sour note to it, bounce off each other. There's no evolution of flavours. It doesn't really flow from the palate. So I think there are faults with it, but I think a large proportion of the faults that I have with it are my tastes to what this whiskey is offering me. I just don't get on with it. I don't at all. I think other people would like this. It's worth trying because it's definitely very unusual. I would not go back to this, absolutely not. But I think it's not like anything else that I've tried so far. It's not even close. It's not got the intense sweetness of things like the Bren and the Starwood. They were kind of like, I've not had anything like this, and that works for me. It's too heavy for some people. This doesn't work for me, but probably does with others. But I'm glad I've tried it because this is unlike anything that I've tried, which is a good thing. It stands out on its own. It's not something that I want to return to, but it's good that it stands out on its own. But does not work for me at all. Okay, so getting all Brendan Rodgers on you there. Okay, not a fantastic start for German whiskey in my book, but that's for me. You might find something different. Andrew, thank you very much for that. I'd really be interested to see what your thoughts of it, because I can imagine that some people will really go for that as something very, very different for a whiskey. Just not my cup of tea. I'll do a quick rinse out, and I shall see you in the next one. Cheers.